In number 12, they ask, when does the particle change direction? And that happens when the velocity changes sign. So when the velocity goes from positive to negative or from negative to positive, then the particle is changing directions from left to right or right to left. If we look at our graph and our sign chart here, we can see that our velocity changes sign only once. It changes from a positive to a negative as we cross over the value time t equals 2. And so that is the point at which the particle changes direction. Number 13 asks, how far does the particle move during the first second and in which direction? So in the first second, from 0 to 1, it's moving at a constant speed of 5 units per second. And so if we're traveling at 5 meters per second times 1 second, we've traveled 5 meters. So 5 units per second times 1 second gives us 5 units. And this was a positive velocity, and so it's moving right. Question 14 asks, how far to the right does the particle go, and at what time does it arrive there? So a couple of things are going on here. First of all, we have already noted that the particle changes direction at t equals 2 seconds. And so we were traveling to the right over the interval from 0 to 1 and then from 1 to 2. So this is going to be the time interval that we're concerned with. And just as we did in the last question, I can multiply the velocity times the time for the interval to determine the distance traveled over that time interval. We've already found that we traveled 5 units of distance in the first second. The question is, how many units of distance do we travel in the second second? And the problem, of course, there is that I'm undergoing a deceleration. So I need to know what the average velocity is on this interval. The average velocity over this time interval from 1 to 2 is going to be the average of these two velocities at the endpoints, which is 5 and 0. 5 plus 0 is 5, divided by 2 to find the average velocity, and that's 2.5. So that corresponds to the midpoint of this line segment. And so that means that I'm traveling at an average speed of 2.5 meters per second times 1 second. That's 2.5 meters. So whatever the units are for distance, it's going to be 5 units over the first interval plus 2.5 units over the second interval for a total distance traveled to the right of 7.5 units.